Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking you through all of the books and things that I'm going to be getting up to in the month of July. So we're over halfway through the year. Well, I was about to say now, we're not quite. I'm still on the 21st of June, but it's going to be over halfway through the year. The midway point, 6 months done, 6 months to go. How has that happened? Who knows? But July, I'm looking forward to it. I feel as though I've got a lot of plans this summer, and a lot of them all start kicking off, well, at the end of June and moving into July, August and September. That is like the peak of my life. So this is going to be sort of like an end of June into July TBR because I don't know what I want to read next, and I have a good week left of the month. So some of these will be getting read at the end of June and you will see them in my June wrap up. But it's hard to plan. It is hard to plan when you're a bit of a mood reader. So we're going to be discussing this last week of June's reading and July. And then the plans that are coming up. So I think I've mentioned it in my June TBR already. I've got this wedding that I'm going to in the south of France at the next weekend. Very excited about that. It's meant to be very hot. It's very hot here in the UK currently, and that weather is just going to be continuing, or probably even more so in south of France. And then following that, I have my birthday. So that's the very beginning of July. I'll have, I think we're going to go to Wimbledon, try and do the queue and see how that goes. Got enough meal booked, casual. And then I have a work trip to Switzerland, just following my birthday. So got that on, which should be quite good. And then I'm going back to Switzerland at the end of the month for a little long weekend, which should be lovely. And that is July. I think it's going to be a good, busy, fun month. Lots of fun activities in there. Lots of things to get our teeth into. So that is July. I have some reading plans. I have some books that I would like to read. So as we're now in the summer, I am really feeling those romances. Those romances that have been on sort of tentative TBRs for a little while. Where I've gone, I know that these new releases are out. I know that I'm interested in them. Now, I really would like to read these. And I bought them because they were on an amazing deal on Amazon. I know I should really be supporting my independent bookshops, but the deal got me. The deal sucked me in, and it was 30% off already reduced prices. So I did an order and I got some romances. Another reason why I also would like to read something a little bit quick is that I feel as though I've been reading lots of very long books, sort of 500-600 pages, and that is fine, that's great. I love a long book. Who doesn't like a long book? But they also have been a little bit draining, and Goodreads is now telling me that I am 3 or maybe even 4 books behind on my Goodreads goal. And my Goodreads goal is not even that strenuous. It's 75, which is what it's been for years, and normally I meet it no issues, and this year it is telling me that I am falling behind. So we need to fix that, and hopefully these romances will help with that. I have 2 Ellie Hazelwoods. I have Deep End, which is the one that came out first, which is I think the younger of the 2, and this is about swimmers in a student athletic program. I feel as though I've had some mixed things on this one, but overall it's Ellie Hazelwood. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. I'm sure it will be fun. A romance with swimmers. Swim captain, world champion, aquatics golden boy. They're in med school as well, so classic Ellie Hazelwood. And then the other one is Problematic Summer Romance, which is following some of the side characters that were in Not in Love. And I've generally heard some really good things about this one. I think it is an age gap one, so there is quite a difference in age between our love interests. I think this one I'm interested in more. This one, it has definite plans because I'm planning to read this with my friend Joanna. So we've spoken about it and we were like, let's do a buddy read together. Let's figure out what we can read. Let's look at our shelves. And this was the one that was an easy win for us both, that we both already owned it. So it fit the bill. Also that it should be a relatively easy one for both of us to sneak in. So I think we're planning this for around the middle of the month, in between her getting back from being on holiday and before I go away on holiday. So lovely. And then the final other romance is So You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. A perfect guy and a perfect date, utterly disastrous timing. And yes, I think when I looked up this one, it was that these people go on a date, but then for whatever reason they don't meet up again, but they both can't stop thinking about each other, and eventually they will reconnect at a different time. I've enjoyed all of Abby Jimenez's books, particularly her latest ones, so really excited to dive into this. I'm guessing it's going to be based in Minnesota because that's where the majority of her books are based. So yeah, that's my sort of like little dive away from fantasy for a little bit, little like change of scene for the summer. I feel like I just need a little palette cleanser. Hopefully the three of these will sort that out. And continuing to talk about shorter things, because I do own some shorter things. Like, I don't just own long books, I do have some short ones, and these ones I've spoken about a couple of times before. So I have Black Powder War, which is the third book in the TBR series. So this is the Napoleonic Wars but with dragons. It is a longer series and I have been a little bit slow. I thought I would maybe finish this year, but if that's to happen, I definitely would need to pick up the pace. And it's following our main character, William Lawrence, and at the beginning of the book he is a Navy captain, and due to some surprise circumstances they end up capturing a French vessel which has a dragon egg on it, and instead of having time to be able to take this extra shore to get to the dragon corpse, he has to the dragon is born and he ends up bonding with that dragon, which means that they are now paired and he has to change his profession. And so it is seeing the relationship form between Captain William Lawrence and Temera, his dragon, and the events that are at play with the different politics in the world at the time between the English and the French and the Chinese and potentially some other ones as well. So I do need to get back to this. I've read 1, 2, just need to get to 3. These are, yeah, relatively short, 350 pages, so should be good. And the other short one, which again I think could be a really good time, is Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. I've been planning to get to this one for a little while now as well. I do have the whole series here that was really kindly sent to me by Orbit, so I would like to be able to get to this. It is a dark, whimsy, cozy fantasy featuring sock-knitting paladins, badass perfumers, courtroom hijinks, and heart-racing romance. So I've enjoyed T. Kingfisher's books. I've read a few of her sort of fairy tale fantasy ones, as well as A House with Good Bones, which is slightly more horror leaning. But this is, I believe, more on the sort of cozy fantasy romance side of things. And I think it will be a lot of fun. I think it will be just like so easy to breeze through. And that's what I need. I need some easy breezes. Easy breezes. So that I don't forget about it, I do have a couple that I don't. Oh, I do own one of these physically. It's in the other room. I'm not going to get it. So I would like to get to the next audiobook in the Throne of Glass series. The next one on the list now is Tower of Dawn. It's the 6th book, so I need to get to Tower of Dawn. It's the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. I do actually have that one physically in this house. The rest of them have not been in this house. They've been back at my parents', at my mum's, because of having read them so long ago. But Tower of Dawn I do actually have with me. It's just, yeah, it's in the other room. Continuing on in my Throne of Glass journey, I would like to be able to at least start that one. I've not been the best with my audiobooks, but yeah, at least make some like start on that, because I feel as though once I start an audiobook, I'm great, I'm in, I've got a rhythm. It's that actual like initial start that I'm not very good at, I'm like, oh, I could, instead of starting something that's 12 hours long, it feels really daunting. Like, I don't have that with a book, but with an audiobook I get daunted by the length of it. So then I just don't start. Whereas once I'm like going, it's absolutely fine. And then the one that I don't know, one that I would need to buy is Lady of Embers, which is the 4th book in the Lady of Darkness series. So I've been working my way through this series this year. It's a fantasy romance. It definitely has the feeling of Throne of Glass in the elements that are within it. So we're following our main character Scarlet, who's an assassin. There's fae and different magical creatures and powers at play within the world. I think the fantasy elements are done quite well, or they're definitely very engaging. So I have been really enjoying my time reading through it. And the 5th and final book comes out in August. It is already released independently. It was already self-published, but the traditionally published version is coming out in August. So my anticipation now is to get to the 4th book in July, and then that 5th book when it releases. And that way I will be up to date. And the other one that I don't have, and there's a few here. I thought my stack was looking like a little big, but now I'm adding in all these other ones. The other one that is releasing in July, and I have requested it from Orbit, is the final book in the Nightshade Crown trilogy, which is the Nightshade God. So I am making some good progress on the 2nd book. I have been buddy reading this with my friends Fish and Sam, although I have gone on ahead. I have left them behind a little bit. So I started this one this week, The Hemlock Queen, which is book 2. I will wait and see where they are at. If they want to have a slightly longer break between books, yeah, I'll say catch up and read book 2. Or if we're going to do book 3 in July, or if we're going to do it a little bit later in August, I don't mind. either way, it's in the plans of coming up that I will get to The Night Show God and conclude this trilogy in July or August, in the summer. So another one that I don't own. That one is like a fantasy story. We're following main character Law, who has death magic, and at the beginning of the first book that all gets revealed. Death magic is criminalised in this world, and instead of being put to death like she anticipated, she is taken to the royal courts and is asked by both the king and the head of the religious faction, who is the king's brother, to look into these murders that are going on within the world, but also keep an eye and spy on the king's son, as they fear that he is working with one of their enemies and this neighbouring enemy kingdom. I feel like this is just getting more and more unrealistic. It's just getting more unrealistic, but we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. I've pulled all these books out now, so we'll just keep talking about them. I mean, I do have this. This is not just July. This has got a whole week in June in it as well. It's got 5 weeks instead of 4 for this stack, and I have 2 little breaks in there. So maybe. I have the next book in the Bone Season series. Surprise! I read book 4 in June. We'll talk about it in my wrap up. But the next one is book 5, The Dark Mirror. Book 4 had quite an ending. It had quite an ending, so I need this. And I really hope that this ending is not as traumatic, because book 6 is not out. And I will have to get to a point where I am up to date and waiting again. So this is set in like an alternative future where there are humans that have powers within this world. If you have powers, you are criminalised. And our main character, Paige, is one of those people that has powers, and she's part of the criminal underworld. And at the beginning of the first book, it gets revealed that she has these powers, and instead of being put to death, she gets taken to Oxford, where everything gets revealed so much more about the world and what's actually going on and the power structures at play. I've been really enjoying this series. I've been really having such a good time with it, and need to keep going with this one. This one I ended up picking up in Forbidden Planet, and it's got a really pretty edge, and now I'm quite sad that the rest of my ones are just like bog standard hardback. I mean, the first one I got was like a Waterstones one, I think, or a Yalc edition, and then my books 2, 3 and 4 are just normal. So, but this, it's so pretty. I am definitely excited to continue on with this series. Oh yeah, and it was signed. Right, anyway, this one. And then one that I did mention in June, but it's not going to happen. It's not, because I'm not in the mood for long right now. I'm just assuming that sometime in July, after I've got through my romance binge, I will be in the mood for it. Is The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah, which is the sequel to The Stardust Thief, which is a Middle Eastern inspired fantasy trilogy. I read the first book back in, was it April? I really enjoyed it. I do have a vlog where I read that and The Jazz Air. It's a multi-perspective story following a main character, Luli, and at the beginning of the first book, she gets taken to the king as he has this task for her to uncover a lamp, and it interweaves lots of different stories that we all know from like the Arabian Nights, and that history with the Deva and the Jinn and the desert setting and that magic and atmosphere. We also follow one of the princes because he goes with her on this quest, and in this world the Jinn and the humans are at war and do not get along, but it's interesting to see how they try and benefit from each other and the artifacts that are left behind and the relics within this world. So really excited to continue on with this and see where it's all to go, because yeah, that first book also ended on a little bit of a like dramatic ending point. It feels as though we're now going into like a whole, it's all going to be kicking off. And finally, I feel like this book is my like Rhythm of War book, where I put it on so many TBRs and I just didn't get to it. I did eventually read Rhythm of War. I still haven't read Wind of Truth though. I just pretend that I have because I put it on my other bookshelves and it's not here. So I pretend that it is read, just because that shelf, it just looked perfectly to have it on there. Anyway, I've not read that. And this book I feel as though is like my Rhythm of War because of how long it's going to take me to read it, is Best Served Cold by Gerald Crombie. One day I'll get to this. Shame on me for not having read it yet. I'm trying, but then I do things like a random number generator, which gives me books that weren't in the plans. So then I try and read those, which also does get books off my TBR that are really old, but it doesn't like help me read Best Served Cold, which I've been planning to read, or it's been in every TBR since the dawn of time now, or since the end of 2024. But it's a continuation of the First Law universe. I've read the first 3 back in like 2023, Really enjoyed them, but needed a little break. The break has gone on a little bit longer than I anticipated. This is the first of the standalones. It is a revenge-centered story. That's as far as I know. I imagine it's going to be quite grim and gruesome, but with Joe Abercrombie's normal sense of humour. There we go. So there is a selection of books that I would like to read in the month of July and a little bit at the end of June. It seems more unrealistic the more I talk about it, but for right now we'll just concentrate on reading some of the shorter ones, which are, finishing off the books that I'm currently reading. I need to do that, and then I can think about reading some shorter, fun romances. So here is the stack, plus the few that I do not own. Let me know if you have read any of these and your thoughts on any of them, and which ones you think that I might actually get to. So we'll just call it there. I hope you're all having a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my future videos. Bye!